Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about top 2 and bottom 2 products from some of my favorite brands. And this is in collaboration with Jena Froese. Ask me how long it took me to be able to say her last name. Even after hearing her pronounce it, it's like my eyes see the way it's spelled, and then also on top of that I'm dyslexic, so my mind wants to say 10 different things other than what it actually is. But besides all that, she is so sweet. I talk to her all the time. And if you love high-end makeup and luxury makeup, that's the only thing she does on her channel. So definitely a good place for you to check out if that is what you are into. And on top of that, she just reached her 10,000 subscriber count goal. And I would love it not only if you would check out her video with this collaboration, but also check her out, see if you like her, and subscribe if you do, because I would love to see her go even further. Now, without further ado, I'm going to get into this, and I've got to say I picked as many of my favorite brands as I possibly could, but there's some like Pat McGrath, like what are your bottom two for Pat McGrath? Like I couldn't. She is not on this list. And I am also not talking about anything that is past. So like with Anastasia Beverly Hills, obviously one of the best things was definitely the Mario palette, but it's limited edition. You can't get your hands on it anymore. Now, if it's limited edition and you can still get your hands on it, I figured it was equal playing ground, so it can be on my list for today. Let's go ahead and jump into this. I'm going to start off with Anastasia Beverly Hills, and my first are going to be the top two. So the very first one, Emery Highlight. It's available right now. I don't feel guilty about it. It is one of the best highlighters in life. It is one of my top 2 highlighters of all time. Like, I love this thing so much, and it works on such a wide variety of skin tones. I feel like everybody needs this in their collection. And then the second one was a little bit harder. I knew I wanted to choose a palette, but I didn't know which one I wanted to choose. And then I landed on the Sultry palette. And the reason being is because I think it's so different than so many of the palettes that are already out there on the market. I love, again, the cool tones. It gets to me. I think the quality is there. I think it's beautiful. I think it's such an amazing palette. If you were going to start off with just one cool tone palette, that is definitely the one I would pick. So now let's move on to what I consider to be the bottom 2 of her brand. The first one is the Stick Foundation. Now, I tried this so many times. I tried it, and it just would not work for me. It was too dry. It never looked good on my skin, no matter what I did. And I know like a lot of stick foundations I don't find to be great. I would love to see her come out with a liquid foundation, but that stick foundation was a no-go for me. And then the second one is the Cream Contour palette. And then even after she redid it, like the first one was terrible, and then the second one, it was better, but I don't really like to use cream contour products, but even if I did, that is not what I would choose. I just don't really care for that product. I felt like it was a little bit harder to work with. I felt like you had to use other things in order to make it work. So that for me was, yeah, definitely a miss. So let's go on to the next brand, and that is Tom Ford. We all know that my #1 thing from Tom Ford is Cocoa Mirage Quad. This is the best quad ever. It's the essential. If you took away my Tom Ford Cocoa Mirage, I might come after you. And yeah, you don't want me to come after you. It blends so well. It's not too warm. It's not too cool. It's pretty much on the neutral side. It is so amazing. I recommend it to everyone. Absolutely everyone. I love that quad so much. And I know a lot of people were like, oh my God, Mel, they're doing away with all these quads. Is Cocoa Mirage one of them? No, it's not. I would panic and I would buy 10 of them if they were doing away with that quad, but luckily it's not on the list. And then for the second item in the best category, we have my favorite perfume. This is my favorite perfume of all time, and it is Oud Mineral. I love this, and it's so funny because so many people say that it stinks on them. Like, they love it on me. Kelsey loves it on me, but she says it smells like disgusting on her. I don't know what it is with my body chemistry, but me and Oud Mineral are like this. That's my favorite fragrance. Worst. So not all of them, but most of the extreme shadows. That's why I didn't even bother to review them, because it would hurt my heart to, you know, purchase them and then review them and say, you know, hey, these aren't great, and then have them in my stash. Like, I just didn't want to. I played with them. I feel like there was one or two that were actually pretty good, but for the majority, the extreme shadows just kind of, I don't know what they were thinking with those. They were patchy, they didn't blend well, they were gritty. I don't know. They just they missed the mark with those for sure. Now the extreme quad, I love the extreme quad, so I don't know what happened with the singles. And then next are, I'm sure I'm not naming all of these like the actual correct name, but whatever, you have it on the screen. These are the lip contour duos or whatever. Tom Ford did not believe in lip liners, so he did this whole thing where there was a not liner, it's a contour whatever on one side, and then the lipstick on the other, and basically you would contour your lips with it, and the shade that looked like a liner was lighter than the shade of lipstick. And I mean, I get that he was trying to be different, but it didn't work. And I don't, like, I never found one that I liked. No, absolutely not. I just, finally he got on the bandwagon with the lip liners, so we cool now. Hourglass Cosmetics. You guys know I love Hourglass. So the first for the best category are the Confession Slim Lipsticks. Oh my gosh, one of the best formulas in all of the lipsticks I've ever tried, and the packaging is absolutely to die for it. I really want this whole, at the holidays, I think they did it last year and this year, they had the whole collection, and I'm like, I need this, but I don't need this, because, you know, I'm not actually going to end up using all of those colors. I'm going to pick out my few favorite, but I really did want it, but I talked myself out of it, and I think it even went on sale, but I'm still like, no, don't do it. But one of the best formulas in lipsticks of all time, and then the packaging is just killer. And then I love that you don't have to buy the whole entire lipstick again. You can just take out the cartridge and put in a new one. Boom, you're done. And then the second one is the Hourglass Veil Powder. They killed it. They knocked it out of the park with this powder. I love it to set. I love it to buff. I just don't like it underneath my eyes to set because of like my pores. I like to bake and do all that, but this is a powder that I believe just about everybody that has tried it has loved, and it's so great for mature skin. It just blurs and it gives you a sheen without it being glittery or anything like that. It's very lightweight, non-drying, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now for the worst, I'm gonna have to say I love their new graphic eyeshadows. I think that's what they're called, and they're in individual single pans. I love those, but the original ones that came in these waves, and it seems like everything has the waves now. I don't understand. Like, I don't mind a small wave or this or that, I don't know, but I don't like that these are all put together, like squished in one little thing, and then I don't feel like they were as good of quality as the new ones. So those were just an absolute miss. I don't think really anybody got on board with those eyeshadow. I mean, it's not even a quad or anything. It's just like one lump of shadow that's different colors all put together. And then Brilliant Nude Blush. I have tried scraping mine to get more pigmentation. I have bought another one and returned it. I've heard a lot of you say that, you know, you just have to have more of that brown swirl in there to get it to work. But I have yet to find one with more of the brown swirl, because all on me, it looks like a highlighter that's too dark to be a highlighter, but too light to be a blush. And it just emphasizes my pores and everything so badly. But the color is so pretty. Like, looking at it, I really want it to work. I would love, like, I feel like going into Sephora and opening up every single one of the boxes until I find one that has a darker swirl in there, because like I said, I've already bought another one and returned it. I have scraped mine trying to get down further into the pan to see if maybe I have darker swirl underneath, but it just has not worked for me yet. So it has to be in the worst category. All right, fourth brand, Chanel. You guys know I love me some Chanel. The first one, Elegance Blush. You are in the best category. Elegance Blush has my heart. I use it all the time. It is my go-to. It literally works for everything. Every eye look, every makeup look, it does not matter. It works for me even in the summertime. It's a little bit lighter on me, but it still works. I don't know how, but it does. And it's so beautiful. It has a sheen, not a sparkle, not a shimmer, not anything like extravagant. It's just skin-like without it being like wet kind of skin-like. I don't know if you like, between NARS Tryst and that one, it's still a powdery skin-like finish. I just love that color so much. It's very neutral pink. And then my second best is definitely the loose natural powder. That powder makes your skin look like velvet. And again, it doesn't dry me out. So it gives me like that satin matte finish. It's definitely doesn't have like that radiant type of feel. It's more on the matte side, but it's not a drying matte. It's one of the best powders that I have. If I had a list of top 10 powders, it's in it. I love that powder so much. And for the worst, the first one is their Ultra Wear, I don't remember the name, foundation. It's one of their long wear matte foundations. This is another one that I tried it during the summer. Every time I've tried it was during the summer because there's no way it was going to work for me during the winter. It is so dry and it dries very quickly. So as you're applying it, I feel like it just like sticks into place and doesn't move. And I moisturize my skin, you guys. I've tried it with primers. I've tried it without primers. I can't get that thing to work to save my life. Absolutely do not like it. Maybe if you're really oily, you probably will like that. But for me, combo skin, it doesn't work for me at all. And then the last for the worst category are these little palette, I'm going to say palette essentials. I don't know how to name the fancy name, but it's basically like two highlighters, or you can like brighten up with one shade and then either a lip or cheek product, and they're all cream. The thing is, A, I don't like all cream products, and B, it's the same size as like an eyeshadow quad. So it's so tiny, and I like one of the shades, and then I want to pick shades from another palette, and I'm not going to buy 4 palettes to get the colors that I want. And I just felt like this was a miss for them. I wish that they had done a powder version of this instead, just larger, like having a highlighter, a blush, and I don't know, just not this. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. This one was very hard for me as well. This is Charlotte Tilbury. Like, I had to really think for me to be able to pinpoint the best and the worst. Like, it was hard for me to find the worst products, except for one I knew right off the top of my head. So for the best, the Pillow Talk eyeshadow palette. That is like the Coco Mirage for Chanel, for Charlotte Tilbury. I love that palette so much. It is so beautiful. It is the perfect pink brown. It is an everyday palette. It's just gorgeous. I mentioned that if this becomes permanent, I won't buy a second one, but if it's limited edition and it comes back out in the spring, which I know it's going to come back out, but if it's limited edition, I am buying another one. One of the best quads I've ever had, other than Coco Mirage from Tom Ford. And then the second best is their Magic Cream. This really is magical. I don't use this every day as like my everyday moisturizer. I use this when I feel like my skin is looking dull. I've exfoliated, I've done everything I possibly can to really try to make my skin look its best, but it's dry, it's dull, I can't figure it out, and if I put that cream on, it's like instant fix. Or even better, like if you're already having a skin, there I am putting my words together. If you're already having a good skin day, and you use that, you're just going to have a phenomenal skin day. There's something about it. I don't like to use it consistently. I like to have that like little surprise, like, I look so nice today. My skin looks so good. There really is something about that that I really, truly adore. But again, I wouldn't use it as my everyday. I don't even know why. I don't know what my reasons are behind, other than I just don't want to use it as my everyday moisturizer. I like to make my skin just have an extra fun day on random days. For the worst category, the first one was easy for me. It is the Magic Foundation. Now, I've heard some people love this, but the majority of the people that I have talked to don't like it. There's something weird about it. It sets on my skin so strangely. Like, it's not horrible. I could wear this foundation and feel fine going throughout the day, but I would feel like I've definitely looked better. It's never, it's almost like it sits on top of the skin. It does not last long on me at all. And I think it kind of accentuates any kind of bad thing going on my face, like my pores, or if I have any kind of texture anywhere. I don't know. I just have not been able to get this one to work for my skin type. But then like the people that love this really love it. But then the people that hate it, like they really hate it. And I'm one of those that I kind of really hate it. And then the last one are her liquid lips. She just came out with these, I want to say within the last year. And I was kind of excited about them because when I first put it on, I'm wearing the Dior liquid lip right now. I love this formula. I'm not a big liquid lipstick girl. I don't like ones that become completely dry, transfer proof. Like if I kiss my hand right now, I'm going to have product come off. But hers, I could tell right away they were very moussey, but they ended up drying. They don't dry down, so they are transfer proof, but they dry out my lips. Whereas I've had this on already for a few hours because this is the second video I have filmed. I'm running around, I'm trying to eat lunch, I'm doing all the things, and I can wear this all day. My lips do not dry out, and it doesn't feather or do any smudging around the edges, and not even with the darker colors either. Now, what I have found with her liquid lipsticks are it's kind of like this moussey texture, maybe a little thinner, and I don't really love the applicator. And then on top of that, right around the edges, it kind of, I don't know, it doesn't bleed. It like smears oddly. And even more so with the darker colors. Maybe it's just because it's more obvious, but I don't know, it's just a weird formula that I'm not a fan of. Huda Beauty, for the best category, definitely the new nude palette. I think that palette is beautiful. It's one of my favorite palettes that I have in my collection for a great like nude but a little bit of color kind of look. I just think it is stunning. I love the metallics in there, or whatever she likes to call them. Even the glitters work really well, and I love the little concealed shade in there. I know some people don't, but I have mine covered up with tape, so it doesn't bother me at all to have like cream or a bunch of powders and then that one cream, because somebody gave me that idea. But that palette works so well. It blends well. The pigmentation is great. It's just, she knocked it out of the park with that palette. I love it so, so much. And then the second one is her baking powder, which I have on right now. Ever since I have gotten that powder, I've not stopped using it. The only downside to me is the scent, but I've used it for so long that, yeah, I really don't notice the scent anymore. Like, I know it's there. I can smell it, but it's not as overwhelming to me. And it's not that the scent has gone away, because I have had to repurchase it. And it's just, I think I'm just used to it now. But it's an amazing powder, really smooths everything out. It's not heavy, and it keeps my pores in check. I mean, in check. Now, for the worst category, both of them are skin products. The first one is the foundation, her Faux Filter foundation. Hated it. Absolutely hated it. It was so heavy on my skin. Definitely has some coverage to it, but I do not like the way it feels heavy. And I'm talking about with a thin layer, it feels heavy. I I don't like that kind of look for my skin, and it just slides off. I get oily so fast with that, but then I also look dry. Like, how does that even happen? And then her concealer. Her concealer is on the worst list because it's inconsistent for me. I have days where it looks really good, and then I have days where it looks like the Urban Decay concealer. I don't understand why. It's like my eyes aren't changing to that extent. You know, I know that sometimes my under eyes can look a little worse than they were before and I'm using the same concealer, but that's because of my under eyes. This is literally like a concealer going from perfection to why did I put this on my face? I don't understand it. I don't get it at all, but I do really like the tip on it. So yeah, I like the tip, but that's about it. Moving right along to brand number 7, and this is MAC. Obviously, I have to say MAC Skin Refine Zone. That is a product that I have used, for 4 years now? I feel like it's been 4 years. I cannot live without that product. Even if I find a new pore filling primer, MAC Skin Refine Zone is going to be going underneath it because it keeps my oil at bay. And it also really helps with that balling effect. A lot of the times that balling effect that people get is your moisturizer reacting with the putty like matte pore filling primers. So having Skin Refine Zone underneath is going to help with your oil production, and then it's also going to help really adhere and hold on to that primer that you're putting right on top. I love that stuff so much. It claims to have small exfoliation abilities, like keeping your pores clean. I've been told that that's not true. I don't know. I'm not that knowledgeable on ingredients, but that is one of its claims. The second thing in the best category, it definitely has to be their Pro Longwear Waterproof Foundation. Now, I don't wear this like I used to, but I still think it's one of the best things in their line. It is full coverage, it's hydrating, and it's waterproof, and it is a concealer and foundation in one. If you are looking for something that is full coverage but isn't going to dry you out or make you look cakey, this is it. But the problem is, I don't like it with the brush, and you have to kind of work with it, because when I first put it on, I remember hating this foundation, like hating it. And then I tried it again and again, and I was like, oh no, I actually love this. And I remember talking to Kelsey. I think I was buying a car, and I was like, why do I like this Pro Longwear Waterproof Foundation all of a sudden? She was like, girl, me too. And there's something about it that can actually look really skin-like if you don't use too much. Use a damp sponge and prep your skin correctly. It does not budge. It's 24-hour. It's amazing. And I just don't wear it that much anymore because I don't really tend to go for the full coverage foundations. And I used to use it in conjunction with whatever foundation I was wearing for the day to spot treat. Like, I was going through a lot of acne problems and I was having a lot of stuff showing through right here. So I would do my foundation and it would be a light to medium coverage, and then I would take just a little bit of that because, like I said, it's also a concealer, and I would dab over those areas where I needed it. It's just beautiful. And then for the worst category, definitely without a doubt, easy, it's their new synthetic brushes. Not all of them, but the majority of them. Like, I have their synthetic 140S. I used it today. I like that brush. But I'm talking about like all the brushes that they replace, like the MAC 221, the 217, all like most of their face brushes. It's just the 239 and the 242 apparently isn't even the same. But I was like, how do you mess up the 242? Like, how do you do that? But they have destroyed those brushes in my opinion, and you can do synthetic well. I have synthetic brushes that I like, but the MAC ones are just not worth it. And then they kept the same price tag. So to me, that is definitely one of the worst products of the MAC company. That was such a weird, of the MAC company. Anyway, second off isn't a product, but more so a generalization. It's their collections. I feel like their collections have just gone downhill. You get one or two random pretty good ones, but overall, you're getting a lot of repeats. Like, I don't need the same colors. I feel like there's a red in every single collection, a nude. I don't know. I just feel like they are pushing out these collections like they always do, but they're not being innovative with them. Like I want them to slow down, put more effort into them, and go back to like, you know, like the Mariah Carey collection. I felt like that was a little bit more special. And I feel like that was one of the last ones that was special. You know, Rihanna. I just want them to scale it back, think about it, and put out better products and put out more limited edition if they're going to do a collection than re-promotes. Now we have the brand Too Faced. So for the best category, definitely their newest concealer, the Born This Way Super Coverage concealer. I love that one so much. It is my daily go-to. Very natural. I don't think it has super coverage. I feel like it has medium coverage. Maybe if you applied it with a brush, it has more coverage. I don't know, but I like it because it is more natural. It is not too hydrating, but not too matte. It falls right in between, and I really like the way that it looks underneath my eyes. And then the second one is the Chocolate Gold palette. This is the best palette that they've ever done. I remember thinking, oh, this is not going to be that great. And then the eye look I did with it, I loved so much, and I kept playing with it. I just think that is one of the best palettes out of the million palettes that they have done. They killed it with that one. I think it is stunning. And so for the worst, we have the White Peach palette. I don't know what they were thinking with this. This was so bland and not pigmented, and there wasn't a lot of color to it at all to begin with. I think they were just trying to keep playing off the peach name because the peach palette did so well, the Just Peachy palette did so well. That White Peach, like, what were they thinking? What were they thinking? I'm a palette lover, like I'm obsessed with palettes, and that one didn't draw me in at all. Like I didn't even think about it. It was like, no. Absolutely not. And then the second one for the worst category is their pink diamond, like pink fire diamond highlighter. I don't remember the name, but I don't know what they did with this either. It is part of their newest collection, the Pretty Rich collection. So they already had the original multi-dimensional highlighter, and then they came out with two more. One was pink and one was bronze. The pink one, it's like you can add and add and add and add and add and add and wet your face and wet the brush and do whatever, and you're just not going to get anything other than natural. And I guess if that's what you're looking for, that's awesome, but I don't know, it's powdery. It's just nothing like the original. I was expecting to have a little bit more of a gleam to it, and it just was not there. And then the next brand we have is Bobbi Brown. And for the best category, I'm going to start off with the Nude Finish Illuminating Powder. This comes in several different colors, and I love this powder. You can use it to set or to buff. I like to use it to buff. It's one of the only pressed powders that's illuminating that I like to use to buff. It leaves the best glowing from within effect on the skin. It is kind of like the Veil powder, but pressed. So it's not glittery or heavy or anything like that. So if you're looking for something in a pressed form, definitely check that one out. It is stunning. And then the Luxe Shadow, specifically in Moonstone. It is so beautiful. It's so glittery and metallic. You can use it as a topper and just get a little bit of shimmer, or you can use it wet, and it is so reflective. Like, it is one of the prettiest shimmery shadows I own in my collection. And now for the worst category, that Bobbi Brown Instant Coverage, Full Coverage Concealer or whatever, I have so many things I don't like about this. The applicator, you have to dip in so many times to get the product out. It is so thick. It looks drying after you set it. They say it's creaseless. It's not creaseless. That thing moves. I loathe this concealer. I gave it so many tries. Like, I was like, oh, it's okay at first. And then I was like, oh, I don't know. And then I was like, nope, I absolutely hate it. And I don't think I'm alone in my thoughts on that one. And then the new Luxe Matte Lipsticks, their new matte lipsticks. I don't like them because they are grainy. Like I feel like there's sand in them whenever I'm putting them on my lips. And then the color I got, like Crown Jewel or something, it's patchy. I don't like the formula of these at all. Like I wouldn't suggest them to anybody. And then my last brand is Tarte. So for the best category, definitely my Timeless Smoothing Primer. I love that so much. It fills in my pores and just makes everything look so smooth right here. So like the combination of Max Skin Refine Zone, the Timeless Smoothing Primer from Tarte, and then the Huda Powder to Bake, no more pores. I love that primer so, so much. And then the Tarte Pro Remix. I never thought that I would like a Tarte palette so much, but I just think that that palette is so pretty. It is a remix palette. It really is. It has these beautiful colors in there, and then it has some neutrals, but even the neutrals are slightly different. Like I did a look with a silvery shade that had a tint of green. Like it was so pretty. All of the shades that I've used in that palette work so well. I highly recommend that palette. I just love it. And you can get so many different looks because there's so many different shades. My one critique is something that somebody else said in the video, and I was thinking it as well, is I didn't understand why there were the circles at the end, because in the original one, the circles were a different formula, but the circles in this palette really aren't. So I don't know what was up with that. I wish they were all squares, but that's just being nitpicky. The palette in of itself is beautiful. And for the worst category, their creaseless concealer. This thing is so thick. I have tried it with a brush like the Artiste brush. I've tried it with my finger. I've tried it with a beauty blender. It definitely creases. Oh my goodness, does it crease. I've tried it with the regular amount of product I would typically use. With less product, I have tried it every single way. And then after I set it, I look so dry and crepey and thick underneath my eyes. I don't like it at all. And then this one might be one that a lot of people do like, but I just don't. I love the packaging on it. The packaging is beautiful, but it's the Park Avenue Princess Bronzer and Contour Palette. Looking at it aesthetically, it is beautiful. The one problem is you're not going to get use out of all the shades, so I have a thing about that. Like I hate that, but like the shades that I did use, they were so patchy on my skin and hard to blend out. I didn't understand, and I tried it after the initial video that I used, like in a get ready with me, and no matter what brush I used, no matter what powder I set my face with, it was always patchy. So I took that bad boy back. I wanted to keep it just for the packaging, I'm not gonna lie, because it was so pretty to look at, but I really did not get on board with that palette at all. Anywho, that is it for my brands. I think I did 10. I have more on my list. So if you guys want to see part 2 of this, let me know down below, and let me know some brands that you want to know, you know, top and bottom. I only want to do brands that I've used several products from, so I'm not doing like, oh, this is the worst product that they have or it's the best, but I've tried 2 products from their line, you know what I mean? So, and again, please go check out Jena's video. Make sure you show her all the love and check out her other content as well. I love you guys, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys.